Inflation is over 11%. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, because I'd like to talk about inflation and a few things coming out from the financial aggregates data from the Reserve Bank of Australia. Now, I know you're yelling at your screen, Florian, what rubbish are you talking about? Inflation isn't at 11%, it's at negative 0.3. I mean, we can see here right on the screen in front of you. Look at that, look at that. You know, just remember this chart. Remember this chart. Look at this rise here in the 70s. Look at that rise, over 15%. Just remember that. So, what we want to look at, what we want to discuss is the financial aggregates that were released at the end of the month. Now, the financial aggregates, what are they? What are they? We'll bring this up here. This is from the glossary of the Reserve Bank of Australia. So we make sure we're getting it right, what they consider it. So financial aggregates, a Reserve Bank of Australia data series specifying measures of the supply of money and credit. It includes some or all of currency on issue, current deposits with banks, other deposits of the private non-bank sector with banks, borrowings from the private sector by non-bank depository corporations, and credit, loans, advances, and bills discounted to the private sector. Okay, so if we jump here, we can see. So year ending August. So we can see here total credit has gone up 2.2%. Housing, the year ending August has gone up 3.2%. So this monthly change, we've got a 0.2% increase in housing. And that may not look like much, but you need to compare it to the other two. Look at personal credit. Look at that. Look how it's been slashed by negative 12.5% there. Dave Ramsey would be so happy, so proud of us all. So proud of us. We're all slashing our personal debt. Business debt, business credit, it's down. But it has gone up year on year. But if we look at these three figures, you can see housing has gone up. That could be the home builder effect, stimulating the market. But then there's this other term. This is broad money term. So what is broad money? So once again, going to the RBA glossary, they define broad money as the widest definition of money published by the Reserve Bank of Australia. Broad money is defined as currency plus ADI deposits, and ADI are authorized deposit-taking institutions. So they're banks, building societies, and credit unions. They're supervised by APRA. So as defined as currency plus ADI deposits from the non-all financial intermediaries private sector, plus other short-term liquid AFI liabilities held by the non-AFI private sector. So there we have, it's the widest definition of money. It's the widest definition of money. So it's important. It's important because it has increased significantly. It has increased by a large amount, everyone. By year on year, 11.5%. Now, if we jump over here to Excel, we can see, and I'll put this up for you to download on my website. You can see, or you can get the data from RBA. This is the broad money 12-month ended growth. And you can see just here, look at this surge in broad money. Look at this surge in broad money. And this is the government stimulus here. You can see government selling treasuries. Banks are buying them. RBA is buying them. Money is just getting flooded into the market. Broad money is increasing. Now, why is that important? What does it have to do with inflation? Florian, what does it have to do? Because inflation's to do with prices going up. And as we saw at the RBA, inflation's at negative 0.3. Well, that's questionable. But there's another definition of inflation. The term hasn't always been to do with prices. So I thought it would be worthwhile to have a look at some historical definitions. So if we jump here, we can have a look at this. So a dictionary of the English language published in 1755. The state of being swelled or inflated. Everyone, the state of being swelled or inflated. Here we have Webster's American Dictionary of the English Language, published in 18 64. Undue expanse or increase from overissue, said of currency. And what's just happened to our broad money here in Australia that we can see in this chart here? It's gone over, well, over 11.5% at the moment. Last month, year on year, it was 10.7, and then it was 10.2 and 9.3. So it's just been shooting up. And this is from the Century Dictionary, published in 1889 to 1891. And it is the undue expansion of elevation, increased beyond the proper or just amount of value, as inflation of trade, currency or prices, inflation of stocks. And then, again, currency, but prices finally starts to come into the lexicon at the turn of the century. But still it's primarily to do with money supply. A Dictionary of American History on Historical Principles, 38 to 44. We can see here, of money and prices, overexpansion. So traditionally, historically, it's to do with an increase in the money supply. And what does the RBA define inflation as? Once again, we'll have a look at their glossary. A measure of the change, increase in the general level of prices. So it's a measure of increase in the general level of prices. They've got a target now. They introduced the target to manage inflation as well. Or that's one of their goals. And this is the CPI over time. Now, one thing that's excluded from the CPI, one little thing that's important to pretty much every single Australian, and imagine most people watching this channel, is property. It's property. We're all worried about it. It has an impact on everyone's lives. And Australia, it is a national sport and an obsession. Now, in this article from the ABC, they discuss why housing prices are excluded. So home price exclusion masks intergenerational inequality. The Bureau of Statistics has considered in the past whether to include home prices in the CPI, but decided against it because it has a significant savings or investment component. In other words, existing owners actually derive benefit from rising home prices rather than feeling them as an increased cost of living. See, this is the thing, but to get into the house, you need to save more and more and more. You're feeling it. You don't feel it when you own the house, but you're feeling it when you're eating the beans in the cans to get in, you know, beans and tuna like that crazy guy did to jump in. It's the first home buyers that are missing out. Now, there's a few other things to consider as well. There's the Cantillon effect, everyone, and I want to draw that to your attention. The Cantillon effect refers to the change in relative prices resulting from a change in money supply. Again, we're talking about the money supply, and in the, you know, what's that defined as in Australia? Broad money here in Australia. The change in relative price occurs because the change in money supply has a specific injection point and therefore a specific flow path through the economy. Now, if we have a look back here at the financial aggregates, we can see that there has been an increase in, well, this August, housing. And there was an increase year end of 3.2%. But if we just jump here to have a look at building approvals, and I will go through this in another video because this is quite drastic. This is quite drastic. So total dwelling approvals actually down 1.6%. But private sector houses are up 4.8%. Year on year, they're up 12.4%. Units, private sector dwellings excluding houses, are down 11%. Year on year, down 18.4%. So we're starting to see an increase in housing. You know, and that's it's starting to materialize here. And it's only slight, but you've got to compare it to the others. Personal's down. Business is down. So our broad money is going up. So our inflation is going up. CPI isn't capturing it because a lot of it's getting pushed into housing. And you've got to understand, guys, these are just approvals. We'll have to see. It's the first stage. You could probably get to this point, when you're still negotiating with the bank, when you're still getting it sorted. Depends on the type of project. Well, I'd be interested to see what these financial aggregates tell us next month. And another thing to consider is also we have savings. Our savings rate in Australia has just skyrocketed to the moon. And that's tied to consumer confidence, everyone, which is still below. There's still more negative Nancys than positive Peters. So, what do you think, everyone? Do you prefer the RBA definition of inflation, just changing prices, and do you agree with their position that it's 0.3% negative? Or do you align more with the more traditional definition of inflation over time, to do with the money supply, and how we're seeing an increase in broad money, significant increase, and that hasn't materialized yet in the CPI figures for two reasons. One, because, well, we're saving a lot. We are saving a significant amount. We're paying off debt. And two, projects are only just starting to kick on in the housing sector. What do you think, everyone? Do you think this is the beginning of, first step of stagflation or hyperinflation? Are we going to see the hidden secrets of money play out? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays or Teespring. Use any of the affiliate links you find below. Support us using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time.